A top recruiting class, a Big Ten West championship, and then world domination. That's the order and the priorities of the Minnesota Golden Gophers football program. And this weekend was just helping close in on goal number one. The commits are rolling in and they're ready to row. Let's talk about it right now.
Locked On Golden Gophers, your daily podcast on the Minnesota Golden Gophers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. You're listening to the Locked On Golden Gophers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Kane Robb, host of the podcast, former collegiate football video coordinator and recruiting assistant, here to talk Gophers with you each and every day of the week. Now, we are officially in the off season, so we're for sure going to be recording every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but anytime anything's breaking or anything like that, I will be sure to get it in there on Monday or Fridays as well. And then once we hit that pickup, once again in August, when camp starts, we start each and every day. Now, I'll try to get the content going 4 to 5 days at best when I can during this off season, but at minimum, we will always have 3 going. Just wanted to get that notice going for you, but I am so thankful for you for tuning into the show. This is the show where we always continue to row. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Find us at Locked On Golden Gophers. Now let's jump in. We're talking about this official visit that just happened. The first one happened this past weekend, June 10th through the 12th. We're riding the wave of that official weekend, and we have a bunch of new commits that you love to see, excited and ready to join the program. But first off, I want to start this off by saying it's still June. Folks, that is right. It's still June. So prospects could flip. Other schools will have commits, waves of commits joining them as well. So don't get too caught up on where we're ranked nationally right now or who's all committed. I'm not saying don't get excited. Be excited. Be happy. We're building something special here with the University of Minnesota, and it's been trending upwards for the past 4 or 5 years now with Coach PJ Fleck. But all I'm saying is don't suck yourself into the point where you're ready to get hurt if a commit decommits or if other schools start to get a bunch of 5 stars and pass us in the rankings. This still is a special class no matter where we end up finishing off. I wanted to put that out there, still get excited, and once we get wrapped up in July, we'll do an overall prospect recap of everyone that is committed thus far. But right now, we're going to hit on the quick hitting facts for the guys that committed most recently. Now, the first I want to talk about is Latravion McCutcheon. He's a linebacker, 3-star guy from Texas, 6'1", 203 pounds. He had offers from Air Force, Navy, University of Texas, San Antonio, and SMU, just a handful of those ones. He also had other schools as well. But one thing that stood up was defensive coordinator Joe Rossi believes that many more Power 5 offers are going to be coming for him this upcoming summer and into his senior season. That's how talented he is. That's what the program believes in, and they were not afraid to get in early and show the love and show the respect for the game that he has. So hopefully that early love and that early showing can allow him to stay committed. But the things that you love to see in his tape is the speed. He has a ton of speed, especially for a linebacker. He's got a quick burst to pair with that speed, and you can see that from, he had a fumble recovery, I believe it was, that he returned all the way end zone to end zone, and he wasn't getting caught by receivers. He wasn't getting hawked down by a running back. He was well in front of majority of everybody on that football field. He's got speed, he's got quick burst, he's got high energy, he's an impact tackler, and he's good in pass coverage, which is a great fit for this defense. And it's what you see from Sori Marin right now. So with him leaving this upcoming season, it's a great commitment to have. So Love McCutcheon, the linebacker from Texas. Next up, we have Derek Mister. He's an offensive tackle, 3-star guy from Indiana, 6'7", 285 pounds. Had offers from Western Michigan, Kentucky, and Central Michigan. He keeps his feet driving, which you love to see from high schoolers, especially in the pass protecting game. Pass protection is usually something that is more hard or more difficult for high schoolers to grasp or fully develop that concept, and that's usually what you're working on when you get into the Division One program and you start hitting the training camps and the fall camps and the spring camps. Some of the first things that you're really hitting hard on is pass protection, because the run game is so prominent, especially depending on where you're at, where geographically you are at when it comes to prep sports and high school football. And so a lot of the Midwest, especially here in Minnesota, a lot of the high schools, prominent high schools and top tier talents, run the ball a ton. There isn't a huge pass game prominence here in Minnesota. So having a guy, a tackle, that can keep his feet driving and is pretty good on the pass protection already only helps him in the long run. He's also can mirror defenders. He has a clean get off out of his stance. Now he needs more consistency when it comes to dominating, but he has the high upside. So excited for Mister to be a commit here. Next, we have Sam Peters, tight end, 3-star tight end from Minnesota. Maple Grove is where he is from, 6'5", 255 pounds. Other offers include Wyoming, Air Force, Army, Tulane, and Northern Illinois, just to name a few. Now, he has the pass catching skills. There was talk that many thought he would maybe be a Y tight end or more of a tight end that has worked into the passing game, but after seeing him in multiple firsthand camps and skill developments, it was very prominent and prevalent that he blocks physically. So he's a well-rounded tight end, and the Gophers really made him earn it. They've seen him and they got multiple looks at him and really made him earn it through camps and different developments before they actually extended the offer. They didn't just offer him because he was a Minnesota local in-state kid who had other offers. They wanted him to not only prove his skills, but prove how much he wanted it and if he wanted to be here. So that was something that was exciting to see with him. Glad to have another local kid here committed to the University of Minnesota. Now, we're speaking of another locally committed kid, and that is Alex Elliott, linebacker. He committed just before this first official visit. He actually wasn't on the visit itself. He will be on the next visit this upcoming weekend, June 17th. He's 6'2", 200 pounds. He had offers from Army, Air Force, NDSU, and Kansas, just to name a few. He has good contact balance, explosion. He also played running back as well, and he finds a way to make the tackle. Now, one thing I did notice in his tape was that he breaks down sometimes when he is going to make a tackle or before a tackle. So on occasion, he breaks down prior to tackling. That might work at the prep level, but when it comes to FBS Division I talent, when it comes to skill positions, running back, wide receivers, you're not going to be able to break down on those folks and still make contact. They are going to juke you out of your shorts or misdirect you. You can't do that. So he might have gotten away with it at the prep level, but that's going to be coached out of him for sure. But he has talent, 3-star guy from Hutchinson, Minnesota. Excited for him to join the Gophers. Another commit was made just yesterday. Kerry Brown, safety, 3-star guy from Florida. He's 6 foot, 175 pounds, and he held offers from some really prominent ACC schools. Now, not the Clemson, but really prominent schools across the board, not just ACC. North Carolina State, Duke, Boston College, Illinois, Indiana, Kansas, Iowa State, Louisville, Maryland, Virginia. Again, these are quality schools, quality Power 5 programs. But that visit this weekend, he was on. And you know what? It was enough to want to commit. It was enough intrigue, enough promise, and enough development with the other 23s. Because you know what? A lot of the guys that are already committed were at this past weekend's official visit. So it gave them time to really develop and see what this class is all about, how they fit and gel and mesh with this class. So this official first visit was pretty awesome overall, and we saw a lot of commits from it, and we also saw some intrigue from guys that haven't made a decision yet. So things you love to see. Now the final commit I want to talk about before we talk about what these commits bring to the program is Carter Menz. He's an edge from North Dakota, 3-star guy, edge rusher. As I said, he was the number 1 prospect in the state. Now we pulled him away from North Dakota State, which you love to see, and also he had official visits scheduled with at least Nebraska, but was also considering Stanford as well. Now, his Nebraska visit was set to be this June 17th, so this upcoming weekend. It will be interesting to see if he still takes the visit or not, having committed. I don't believe that will be the case, but sometimes there's some oddities, some strange things, so you never know. That being said, edge position is a position of need for us, and that was really prominent as well, seeing that Coach Fleck was the one who offered him directly. It was a position of high need. Now, he had 19 and a half tackles for loss last season and 11 and a half sacks as a junior. 11 and a half sacks as a junior, and led his team to the state game. So he did a lot. He contributed a ton for a North Dakota program, number 1 kid in the state, and one of our top priorities when it comes to positionally. So love all those guys making the commitment, and I hope they all stay committed and build this class that's looking really special. Now, speaking of special, we got to talk about Bet Online. They are our friends over there that give you the top-notch and special information you need when it comes to sports wagering information. Bet Online is giving you more props, more odds, and more lines than ever before when it comes to NCAA, whether that be college football, basketball, or even other collegiate sports. NHL playoff with the Lightning and the Avalanche, with the NBA Finals and the Celtics and the Warriors, and I'm hurting a little bit after the Celtics just dropped Game 5, so I'm going to skip past that bit. Still recovering a little bit on that one, but what you don't need to recover from is looking at the odds and sports betting information when it comes to Bet Online. They also have things like esports, draft updates, like draft props updates when you're looking at the drafts coming up. The NHL draft and the NBA draft will be here before you know it. So get all of your Bet Online sports wagering information today. Head on over to their website to check out the latest trends and actions. Bet Online, where the game starts. Now, thank you for making Locked On Gophers your first listen. I truly appreciate it. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you, and I appreciate each and every one of you as listeners. Now, please drop any questions that you may have, whether it be on these specific prospects, other prospects we have, or prospects we're still looking at in the future. What do you want to know about them? Who are you interested in? Let me know down in the comments below, because I'm going to get John Garcia, our local scout who also works for Sports Illustrated, to give me the latest and greatest on those guys. So please drop the players you want to learn more about down below, and I will be sure to get him on the show and talk about those prospects. But let's talk about the prospects we just named and what these guys bring to our class. What do these additions add? Now, overall, where are we at in the rankings when it comes to the NCAA and our rankings across the country? We are number 12. That's right, number 12 in the entire country when it comes to ranking our class of 2023. We're right behind Georgia, Tennessee, and Louisville. And when I say right behind, I mean we're a couple of points. One more commit could put us up above some of them. But again, don't get stuck on that ranking too much, because that is going to be ebbing and flowing throughout the entirety of not only this summer, but when after the season concludes and we get those final kind of offers out at hand, or those final things before signing day. So you'll see a big swing during the summer, and then you will also see a lighter swing in the November to February, early February timeframe prior to signing day. So don't get too hooked on that because it can ebb and flow. Now, we're right in front of Baylor, we're right in front of USC, and Lincoln Riley's highly touted everything that he does. So it's awesome to be in company with these type of schools. And Michigan State, we're also right in front of. So you love to see that. You love to see the Gophers getting nationally recognized, but bringing in a great group of guys, a great group of talents, and a great group of young men moving forward. So extremely excited. I've talked to a few of these guys and had them on the show. If you haven't caught those episodes, be sure to. But I'm excited for this class, and I'm excited for the guys and what they bring to the team both on and off the field. Now, overall, across the Big Ten, we are fourth in the Big Ten. Fourth out of 14 teams, so not too shabby at all. And we're right there. I mean, we're behind Northwestern, Penn State, and Ohio State. Those are the only three schools in front of us. In fact, Northwestern is number one in the conference right now when it comes to recruit rankings. Now, again, like I said, that can ebb and flow, but we're right in front of Michigan State, right in front of Iowa, and well in front of Wisconsin, Nebraska, and Michigan at the moment. So we're right in the thick of things. We're staying competitive. We're getting top talent. We're getting top-notch guys in a good, healthier class. We have 14 guys committed to the program right now, but did we fill positions of need? That's what I kind of want to touch on. Now, we did continue to stack up our depth at O-line. I believe we have four guys officially committed that are all offensive linemen. It could be five. I don't have the list up right in front of me, and I don't want to make you listen to my clicks too much, so 4 to 5 offensive linemen in there right now, but we also just made the top 4 for another offensive lineman, Philip Daniels, who was at this official visit. So we're seeing a lot of really healthy depth at the offensive line position after we just lost 4 starters, and we will lose our one of the best in the country, our center, John Michael Schmitz, at the end of the season. Also, Chuck Filiaga also only has 1 year of eligibility left and will be a starter this season. So we're going to lose 2 starters after this season for sure. So having this depth, having that talent that's able to develop and work with one of the best offensive line coaches in the entire nation, it's something special, and you love to see it because that's how you don't fall off. You have that consistency, you have that depth, and no matter an injury that happens or no matter if somebody transfers or anything of the sort, you're able to fill those holes and be confident in the guys that you have around. And these guys in this class, each and every one of them that have committed so far, are great talents. Reese Tripp, Jerome Williams, Greg Johnson, and then like I had just mentioned, De'Eric Mister. I mean, these guys are all big guys. They have the build for it. They have the length. They have the talent, and so it's honing in on that talent. So I am very intrigued that we are adding that, which I did see as a need. Another need is linebacker, which we brought in 2 linebacker commits thus far, with Sori Marin leaving after this being his final season, and we haven't seen anybody really grab hold of the other linebacker positions to the point where you're like, yeah, he's a lock. I think having these talented athletic linebackers officially committing is definitely helpful for us, and I do anticipate we'll have a couple more that we go after in this recruiting period. But are we missing anything of need? And the 2 things that really stand out to me is I feel like we're not addressing the edge rush very much, which could be a problem, especially with Thomas Rush on his last year of eligibility. Now, this was before we got the men's commitment, so it's definitely a step in the right direction. But one thing to point out as well is Jackson Howard, who has been he's touted as an athlete. He's our top guy on our board right now, and he could be a tight end or edge rusher. And it sounds like that the Gophers have really been talking to him about really wanting him to fill that defensive side of ball on the edge rush. So if we can gain that commitment, that is epic for the edge rush, and it gives you someone that you can try to work with and know that you want him to step in early and often if he can get there and get caught up to be a contributor right away. And that might be a selling point for him. So who knows? That could be great. Now, I am excited. Hopefully we can sell him on that. I truly believe that Jackson Howard is maybe slightly less than a 50% chance to get here, but I think it's between two schools, which we'll talk about here in a second. Now, the other need that I think that we need to address is wide receivers still. We had a lot of guys enter the transfer portal when it came to the wide receiver position. On top of, you have Chris Autman-Bell, who's leaving at the end of the year. You've got Dalen Wright, who could leave at the end of the year if he has a fabulous season. He could see his name in the draft conversation. And then you have MSB, who's my boy. He's the do-it-all kind of gadget-type player receiver that we saw in the spring game especially. So you'll have him, and he'll likely get more and more involved. You've got Jackson, but it's really building up that room and making sure that you have enough skill positions that can show up and show out. Now, outside of those four guys, we really lost majority of the room. But we do have true freshmen coming in this year in Kristen Hoskins and Ike White. Ike White was used a ton in that spring game, and so you got to see flashes of him, and it was really exciting. And he has a connection with one of the prospects that is interested in the Minnesota Golden Gophers right now. So we have a couple of wide receivers that we're taking a look at, and hopefully we'll get a couple to commit here soon. Now, again, be excited. It's still early. But in Flex time here, in his time with the classes 2018 to 2021, we have lost between 6 to 8 players from decommitment each of those seasons. So again, I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm not saying that to make you skeptical. I'm just saying, we're early, folks. It's exciting. And I am beyond excited. I'm excited for this class, and I think it is going to be a very special class. But don't go overboard. Don't get cocky. Don't be yipping and yapping and talking trash to other fans, because everything is flexible and recruiting is just getting started. So I just want to put that out there. I mean, all that to say, we've had 6 to 8 players decommit each year during PJ Flex time besides one class. And we've had guys like Jalen Mayfield, who went to Michigan and is now an NFL draft pick. We had Avante Dickerson, who would have been the 4th highest commit ever to commit to MN, and then he ended up flipping and going to Oregon. We had Brennan Armstrong committed, who is now one of the better quarterbacks in the entire ACC at Virginia. We had Jack Pyburn, who flipped and went to Florida last year. So be excited, but be calmly excited. Be reasonable. That's all I'm saying here, folks. That's all I'm going for. But it's an exciting class, and it's exciting times here with the Golden Gophers. Next, we're going to talk about important names to follow and updates on them that when it comes to looking forward on guys who haven't committed quite yet. So that's what we're going to talk about coming up next. All right, so let's talk about some guys that haven't made the official commitment but are high on the priority list for us, and hopefully we're high on their priority list as well. The first one, of course, is Jackson Howard, athlete, 4-star guy. He's looking at Michigan, LSU, Miami, and Minnesota. Now, he's from here. He goes to Cooper High School. Ryan Burns and I seem to agree that the odds are not stacked in our favor here, and that it looks somewhat bleak. But that being said, in the latest articles that 247 Sports has been putting out there, and Gopher Illustrated has been, is that walking away from this official visit, he really enjoyed the connection he has with the guys in this class. So if he's feeling that spark, if he's feeling that brotherhood, if he's feeling that connection, that can go a long way, and that's something you can't underestimate or overestimate. So it's definitely a benefit, and being close to family is also a benefit. Those are things that play in our favor. So we'll see how these next couple weekends go for him. All of his weekends in June are official visits to those schools I had mentioned. So it's going to be the time, folks. It's going to be chopping time. It's going to come down to it here. And Miami is the school that closes out his official visits. That is who I believe is number one currently on his list. If I had to take a guess, if I had to place a bet, I would say Miami is number one, and I think Minnesota is right there behind Miami. So really how that official visit plays out at the end of the month, as well as does he have that same bond with these guys on the other teams, that he felt here on the official visit. Those are the main factors when it comes to Jackson Howard. And I think he could be an absolutely great defensive end piece and an edge piece here in the Gophers. I think he can contribute early, especially seeing as that's probably our number one position need right now when it comes to the Minnesota Golden Gophers. So huge opportunity for him here. Sounds like he made a great connection with Brevin Spann-Ford, the tight end, and looked to him as like a big brother type. So that could be awesome as well if for some reason he did end up going the tight end route. But lots to be decided with Jackson Howard. I'm going to move forward to the next guy, which is Marjavius Moss. He's a cornerback, 4-star guy. And he recently stated after the official visit this weekend that we are number one on his list. Now, he has one other visit scheduled with Baylor later this month. I believe it's June 24th. And then he wants to make a decision shortly after that. So hopefully we can hold on to that number one position on his list, because he would be a very exciting and a very talented prospect to have join our class. He would be the number one guy as it stands if he made the commitment right now. And if him and Jackson Howard both made it, he would be the number 2 prospect in the entire class when it comes to ranking. So both those guys would be huge gets for us here at the Gophers. Moving on to the next guy is Marquise Williams. He's a running back, 4-star guy. He's got looks from Texas A&M and Virginia Tech as well, as far as schools that he is warm on when it comes to 247's outlook. So a guy that has a lot of talent at the running back position, could help bolster the room. But we do have Zach Evans, we do have Trayson Potts likely back next year, and then we also have Darius Taylor coming in. So that room is pretty talented overall. So would love to have a guy like him join the team, but we'll see where it goes. Then you have Tavion Gadsden. He's a defensive lineman, 3-star guy, but he has offers from Georgia, Florida State, Tennessee, Auburn. So the fact that he is even considering us, it's great to be in contention with those schools, but it also makes you a little bit hesitant on the realisticness of him actually committing here. So that's a name to keep an eye on, but it's one that I'm a little bit more pessimistic on than most. Now, the next guy is Ryan Manning. He was here this past weekend, had his official visit. 3-star wide receiver guy, 3-star wide receiver. Overall, he said the OV went great, in his words, and he is going to make his official commitment this Saturday, June 17th. So he's going to commit this Saturday, and he also said it's between Maryland and Minnesota. He has a connection with Ike White. They knew each other before this visit, but Ike White was his host for his visit. So they got to bond more. They got to get to know each other more, and he got to ask any questions he had about anything going on here with Ike White. So cool relationship to have. Hopefully Ike sold him. Hopefully he can get that little check mark on his visits box, because the players in these programs, they're competitive too. You get put as a host for some of these guys, and you get a record. You get a record on how many guys you got to come in and commit. You get a record on, if you're a good salesperson, basically. And not a salesperson in like the used car salesman, you're just trying to do anything to get them here. But it's like a, haha, I'm great, I can help bring guys here. Like, it's like a fun, healthy competition within the programs for these guys. So we'll see if he can get that record going with a 1 on that first official commitment victory. So hopefully we'll find out more about Ryan Manning coming up this weekend. Then you have Elanius Davis, 3-star guy. He also has offers from Vanderbilt, Iowa State, Washington. Those are the other official visits that he's looking to schedule. Now, we offer the highest level of play and caliber, in my opinion, but play time, especially early, might be a little lower for us since we've had success at recruiting this position over the recent years. You've got guys on the interior like Booker, like Devin Eastern, like we've got 2 kids coming in this year that are 4-star guys, one from Eden Prairie. And so it's just like there's a lot of really high recruited talent at that interior defensive line position for the Gophers right now. So early playing time could be lower for us compared to your Vanderbilt, Washington, and Iowa State. So we'll see if we can pull him in, but you never know. You never know. So I feel like I've been hearing a lot less on that front of him leaning this way as opposed to earlier on where you were hearing lots of things about him staying. So that one's a toss-up for me on how likely that is to happen. Then you got Phillip Daniels, 3-star offensive lineman. He's big on creating a bond, and that's what he really wanted to take away from the official visit. And he said that the bond that he has with the 23 commits and with Coach Callahan was really important to him, and he really enjoyed that bond that he had. We officially made his top 4, which was announced yesterday, and he has visits to Purdue and Pitt coming up. So we're right in the thick of it with those schools, and then Boston College is the 4th one, but he would be another extremely talented and great sized offensive lineman to have come row with us. So those are the guys I want to keep a name on. There were other names on campus this past weekend or coming up, but those are ones that these are the ones that I just listed that I'm more hopeful that we could land or have a good shot at having commit. So that's going to do it for us, folks. That's going to do it and wrap up this episode of Locked On Golden Gophers. I know it's a little bit longer than what we've been doing, but we had a lot of visits. We had a lot of kids here for the visit, a lot of new commits, and so I wanted to get all of that information out to you. Again, if you want to know anything about any of those prospects, any of those commits, or any of the guys we're still looking into, put those names down below in the comment section on YouTube so I can have John Garcia, our insider, take a look and really dive deep in what he's hearing and where they stand currently. That's going to do it for us. This is Kane Rob signing off. Have a good one. I appreciate you all. Please keep listening, follow, subscribe, and check us out on Twitter. Have a good one.